I'd get my camera on, but I don't think anyone wants to see me shirtless working on a speaker.
That'd be so much fun.
No, please go right ahead.
Social Credit Score Online. That is such a good MMO name.
Yeah, if I stub my toe in my bedroom when I get out of the shower and I'm naked, they're watching me. They'll notice send the EMS over.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Deus Vult Podcast. This is the second episode, and definitely more to come. But we're going to open with prayer and talk about the Ark and our trip to Kentucky. So, let's go ahead and start. All right. Dear Holy Father, thank you so much for that we're able to do this podcast with this group and just share it with the world and have the different outlets that to where Jesus and just you, Lord, can reach other people. It's just wonderful, and just please let this reach people and encourage them or let them see the light, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. All right, so what is the Ark?
Well, do you want to introduce our guest?
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is Tristan, by the way. All right, moving on. No. Tristan, what's your favorite verse? Do you know it off the top of your head, just to introduce yourself?
Yeah, let me go make sure that I have the right number.
All right.
It's not really a verse, it's more of a passage.
All right. Because that's how we all introduce ourselves, is just we give our favorite verse type thing. Icebreaker. Having a mustache now is so annoying because everything you drink just gets caught in it, and I hate it.
Hey, that's called saving it for later.
Yeah, I don't like that.
What, you get a little hungry, you just...
Wait a second.
Absolutely disgusting.
Was that egg, or what was that? No, that was an egg.
It's
very similar. Consistency was the same.
It's the same as Jell-O. I didn't know.
Jello.
Okay, my favorite passage is Luke 15, 1 through 7, which is the parable of the lost sheep. To me, that's my favorite passage because I get lost a lot. I go sin more than I should, and I spend too much time doing things outside of God, and I know that He'll always come find me. He'll always follow me wherever I go. There's no way that I'll be lost forever.
Right.
And that's just a very comforting thought to me as someone who sins so much.
Yes. That's awesome. Beautiful. Okay. After that, that's Tristan. He also likes computer games and stuff too, and like building computers and stuff. He's a huge tech nerd.
And I am Zane, and you are just for people who forgot or didn't hear the first episode.
Yes. Oh yeah, or people who never mind, I'm just going to skip that. I was going to introduce myself again because you brought that up, but it's okay. Anyways, so let's talk about the Ark. What is the Ark? Noah built it. Well, technically, God it's a big boat.
God give him the blueprints and say, y'all skedaddle because I'm about to get lit.
Yeah. I don't know if he exactly said get lit in the Bible. But
that's a direct quote, right?
Yeah.
No, that's paraphrasing, but essentially,
yep.
better get gone because about to YOLO this place.
Yep. And so
I bet that's pretty close to Hawaiian Pigeon.
Hawaiian Pigeon? That's what it is. That's the Hawaiian Pigeon translation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, the Ark, which is behind me, is this big building, or boat rather, that they made in Kentucky, off of the real one in the Bible, and it's actually like really cool. And the scale of it is huge. As you can see behind me, there's like some people, like down over there, and that's like the boat. It's big boat, and
big boat.
basically, we took our trip. We went from where we are in Kansas all the way over to Kentucky, and it was a very fun trip. It was Weston, who was below me, and Zane, who's over here, and then also Wade, which is
I'm just like hanging out.
Yeah, he's hanging out over there. And then Blake, who isn't here, which is their little brother. And so we all went there. It was very fun. It was very great. It was a great experience because I think we all learned like quite a bit of like different facts and different things to that brings Christianity into like such a realist light, just not a religion, and it's great. So basically, to start off on my bullet point list, I have the toilet situation.
Wow. The toilet.
The toilet.
Are we gonna start?
That was like at the end, wasn't it?
No. That was at the beginning. That was when we first got there. So we went to when we first traveled, didn't we go at their house at Zane's and Weston's grandparents' house? We went there and stayed the night. And we traveled to Missouri and stayed there for the night.
Yeah. And then we moved on. Okay, yeah.
And then at their house, we found this toilet because it was late at night. We just got there and arrived, and we were all just exhausted, ready to sleep. Everyone was getting ready. And then all of a sudden, someone noticed, whoever was in the restroom first, it was Blake or someone. We found a bottle that was really light, by the way. It was like extremely paper light. And it was this bottle of suntan lotion in the top of the toilet. Like inside, like the top of the toilet where all the water is. And it's just sitting on.
Why did you look in there?
Well, because the top was off. The top of the toilet was off.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just sitting.
Everyone knows you must ferment your suntan lotion to get extra protection. It becomes SPF like 100 is if you sit it in there for.
Yes, and so we were just
a little ripe too, sitting in the toilet.
Yeah, so I've just a video. So towards the beginning, because on my YouTube channel, I have a video of the Ark and our trip there. But it was just so funny because all of us were just gathered around this toilet, pointing at this sunblock and just laughing hysterically, making jokes.
How did you all get in the bathroom?
Oh, well, I think Weston
wasn't easy.
Walked in there. And then he came out and he was like, "Guys, come in here. You got to see this." And we all go walking in, and the toilet's lid is removed, and there's just suntan lotion sticking up out the top. Why?
So you guys don't know if he opened the toilet. He could have opened it.
No, it was already open. The stick. It was like sticking up and out.
Yeah, and then when we flushed it, I looked back at the footage yesterday, and when we flushed it, it made like a gurgling breaking sound when we flushed it for the first time. It was awful. And Weston was like, "Oh, it died." It was great.
Well, that's because Weston went in there and died. He left something dead in there. That's probably why it made the noise.
No, but it was
the suntan lotion.
Yeah, it was so funny. But yeah, basically the suntan lotion was just fermenting in there. That's how you get the good sunscreen.
Get some extra flavor with that.
Get some extra flavor. It increases. I was going to say makes a new scented sunscreen, but I don't think you want your sunscreen scented from a toilet.
Unblock and E. coli for your summer enjoyment.
Yes. But that was like our first experience, and that set the tone for the whole trip, which was just very, very funny and great. So
that sounds like a great tone right there.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, the mystery, why was that on there? Because the toilet thing would just run and run and run. And so it needed just a little bit extra weight to get the flapper down. So she put that thing on there to hold it down so it wouldn't constantly run.
Right.
Well, except that didn't work because the bottle was empty.
Yeah, the bottle was like empty. It was so light. So like in theory it could have worked.
Grabbed something that was handy and thought, okay, this will work, and then walked away. And if we're not there, Tina's parents don't go down to the basement. So
Right.
it's kind of like leave it and forget it. And then a month later, we show up going, what in the world is
what is happening? It's so funny. But yeah, that was such a great experience. It was perfect. It was opening up the trip with just greatness. And then next we just went to like, what state did we go through after that?
Fusion.
Like, because we just went through like all those states. There's that one. What?
Wait. Okay, so
all of them.
Missouri, and then we hit the top of Arkansas. Was it Arkansas? Right. And then
we went through like all the corners, right?
Kentucky and Kentucky's where it ended up. Illinois.
Okay.
This is what people don't realize. Illinois goes like way farther south than you expect.
True.
Down to the edge of Kentucky, and then
right.
I think then once you're in Kentucky, once you get up to like the Ark and the Creation Museum, you're like literally you could spit and hit Ohio.
Yeah.
So
the void. That is Ohio.
The void. Yep.
Oh, void of Ohio.
Yeah. The whole meme. The whole meme.
There's nothing out there.
There's nothing out there in Ohio, so it's just a void. Like, does Ohio really even exist? It's like the meme.
Ohio isn't a real place. It's just literally a void.
Yeah.
We're at Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky.
Okay. Well, didn't we go through like Mississippi and stuff with the bridges, and we went through like a corner of Ohio or something? Because there were those big. Because it was weird. Because we like took a giant, huge bridge over like this river, and then we went over on another bridge instantly and crossed like the Mississippi River, and it was big.
Yeah, I think that's where we caught like the very, very southern tip of Illinois.
Yeah, it was cool, but those bridges they were old and looked pretty sketchy.
And they were narrow.
They were very narrow.
We were going across, and I see a semi coming the other way, and I'm like, "Dear Lord, please let us stay in the middle. Dear Lord, please let us." And you go past, and it's like you could reach out and just scrape your fingers along the side of the truck as it goes past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, you remember it was raining. Once we got past that, we got to Kentucky.
Yes, it was.
And so this has never happened to me before. We're driving along. It's like when you're towing a travel trailer, you can feel it. It's like you kind of get this like spatial sort of, and you get used to how it's attached to the back of the truck, and you can kind of feel you're towing it. Well, it's like all of a sudden, it's gone. And I check like, the side mirrors, and I see the thing drifting to the right. The travel trailer was hydroplaning, and then it caught, and the whole thing just like shook, like, whoa, to the right and to the left. And you talk about, oh man, it's a good thing I put on my Depends that morning, because it was.
I mean, it was stressful because you drove throughout the whole trip too.
Yeah. So I was going like 65. I think I went down to like 50 at that point because I thought, if we're gonna lose it, I want to have a chance to actually recover it instead of you lose it at 65 with the travel trailer, and it's over.
Yeah,
you're just
pretty much.
It's gone.
Yep.
Yeah,
but
the EMT comes up and goes, "What is this? A gigantic can of Campbell's soup? It's just tomato soup. It's chunky too." Yeah, you're dead. You just become a pile of wreckage.
But then also there was then later, as you were saying, it started raining, and I think that's where we set up camp, was in a trailer park. And
let's talk about that.
Campground, not a trailer park.
It's a campground? Oh, okay. Yeah, there is a difference.
But
there is a big difference. You're right.
Campgrounds don't sell drugs.
Yeah, you can you can share this story about the missing tent.
Yeah. So I should say there were 6 of us on this trip, my family and Zach. And we don't really have enough space for everyone to sleep in our camping trailer. So Weston and Zach were going to camp in a tent the whole time we were down there. So they had their cots, their stuff, and all that. Well, when we were unloading...
It's 36 degrees out too, by the way.
Yes, it's pretty cold.
Yeah, it was kind of cold and wet. But we were unloading the trailer, getting junk out of it when we were going to pack up and leave. One of the things we took out of it were these big green bags that had inflatable kayaks in them. Well, we had thrown the tent bag in there as well. Nathan Schmidt was with us and didn't realize that the tent bag and the green bags we use for the kayaks look exactly the same. So he removed our tent trying to help us get ready to go on this trip. So we arrive at our campground.
Didn't know any better. I mean, it was literally the same type of bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he took our tent out on accident. So we get to the trip, we're setting up, we like clear space. We're like, all right, we put the tent up here, and then we start looking for the tent. We're like, where the heck is it? Shouldn't it be under here? Of course, we've been driving through rain. It's late at night now. We're all stressed. So then papers are flying. People are pointing like, you took the tent out. No, you took the tent out. Well, who took the tent out? And then finally we were like, well, we don't have a tent. I guess we're just going to set up the cots inside.
Yeah.
So our camper literally had no floor because we had two guys sleeping on it. Then we had everyone else was sleeping on couches and beds. Yep. We were completely packed in there.
It was
the entirety
awesome.
Of the trip.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, to be honest. Better than being out in the cold. But it was so funny because there's like
a great experience.
There was no walking room at all. So if you're like the first one up, and someone was like, so there's like this narrow hallway like in the middle of it. And so and I think who was sleeping like in the hallway, like in the middle of the hallway? It was like
Weston.
Okay.
Weston was,
if you're like the first one up or someone has to use the restroom and Weston's still asleep, you have to like maneuver around him to get to like the restroom. It's so funny.
And hopefully not fall on him.
Yeah, and then there's like two cots that are just like sitting there in the middle of like the kitchen and the living space. It's great. It was so much fun.
Weston was like the last one. Weston sleeps. He sleeps hard, and he's the last one up. So let's talk about Buffalo Jones.
Yes.
Do I want to know about Buffalo Jones? Are we sure about this?
Zach, go ahead. And then is Weston on somewhere?
No, he's gonna be muted for this one. He's just recording it.
Okay. So Weston's
you can tell the story though.
Phone. Yeah, Weston's alarm on his phone. His wake up alarm was Buffalo Jones. Look what's happening here, or is it? It's one that goes, stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look. Anyway, it was. How do I put it? It would come on and would play and just constantly play. Unless, of course, you shut it off.
It was like the whole song, too, by the way. It was like, it was on repeat like 5 times.
Oh, no.
So, Zach, from your perspective, go ahead.
Okay, so as we're so I'm just sleeping in my cot next to the couch in like the living area. Weston's more in the kitchen area. And then I just hear, because I'm like trying to sleep still, and then I hear this alarm go off, and then I'm like, oh, that's a nice song. I remember this song. I like it. And then his alarm ends, and it starts again, and I'm like, okay, the chorus is getting a little annoying, and then it stops, and then it plays again, and then in my head I'm like, I hate this. I want to die. This is hell itself. And
this is 6:30 a.m. Remember, we didn't get to bed till after 1.
Yes.
He wouldn't wake up. He was conked out.
He was out.
And the keeper woke up, and we're all like, whose is this? Because we didn't know whose phone it was at first. We were like, whose is this? Turn off your stinking phone.
Yeah. And then, but also Wade, I just hear Wade get up, and I just, because I'm like turned over on this side, and everything's happening behind me, and all I hear is Wade take this phone and slam it on the counter and point at Weston, and he just goes, turn it off.
And Weston, from his description, said he just also woke up to see this angry figure standing above him, like dropping the phone down. It's like, turn it off now.
And then it's so funny, and it's great. And then he's just like, he's like half asleep, not even really understanding. And then I don't even remember. Did he turn it off at that point, or did he just like snooze it?
Well, he was like, what? And then we're like, freaking turn it off. And then he finally turned it off. But yeah. For forever, it was just, oh, hey, what's that sound, everybody? Over and over again. We're like,
over and over again. It was so annoying. It was great.
That's a great rendition, by the way.
Yeah, it was beautiful. That's spot on.
I don't care what the sound is. Shut it off.
But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. What was that, Zane?
What did we do after that? Like the first, was that when we went cave diving?
That's all you remember.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember because of events.
No, yeah, we did go.
That's the first thing I do when I wake up.
No, after the yeah, and then later actually Zane had an alarm clock, which was the Mongolian music playing, the throat singing, and that was like such a it like lit my inner crusader or Viking of like this manly, most masculine music to wake up to and eat breakfast to in the morning. But then after that,
it wasn't an alarm, I was just playing that.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then after that, you're right. We got up and we went to different caves. And the first one,
they got a lot of caves.
Yeah, they do have a lot of caves. The first one, did we do any caves in Missouri at all on the way back?
No.
Okay, I don't remember. It's kind of like vague because we went to some caves and then we went to multiple. And the first one we went to was like cool, but if I remember right, it was kind of underwhelming. And it was expensive.
It was expensive. It was tiny. And
that's
the people who ran it were basically Nazis.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let you do a thing. Like they had this little tiny path with like a brick wall on each side, and they're like, "Don't touch anything."
Yes, pretty much.
Don't even point. No cameras. You gotta wear a freaking hazmat suit to come down here.
Yeah, it was like the cave has COVID. So you're going to get COVID if you don't wear your mask.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but so you walk in there, and it's like, you can't walk out. They're like, don't walk off the path. And you're like, how? They've got a brick wall on each side. I can't unless I want to climb over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that cave was kind of...
like, the formations in it were cool. Like, it had, like, a lot of cool formations, but it was so small. It was, like, the whole trip down there was, like, an hour, maybe?
Well, and you didn't really get a cave feeling because they had like bright lights everywhere, so it was like as bright as day.
It was very modern. It was like a modern cave.
In fact, because it was like cloudy and rainy, it was like darker outside than it was in the cave.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was kind of just like that was kind of a experience.
Yeah. But
then we went to another cave.
Yes, we went to this other cave, which was a big hole in the ground. Like the first one was like, okay, it's a hole in the ground. It's kind of big. The second one was a hole in the ground. It was big. And
is there any way I could share a picture? If I could.
For Tristan, yeah. We can do that for Tristan. I can bring up a picture just to show on the podcast. Because I have pictures on my phone. But
I was gonna show like the size of the camper we were in, but I was also going to show, I have a picture of you guys standing at the mouth of the cave.
Yeah.
I think you can share your screen and like bring up a picture there.
Yeah. Here. But it was really cool. But the cave was like literally underneath the city.
Yeah.
It was like because at first you don't even notice it because we're in this like small little, I wouldn't call it city, like a town in Kentucky, and then you just see this gated off area, and you're like, okay, but you can't really see down there because it looks like just like a pit, not like a cave into the earth, but like
a sort of a crater looking thing.
Yeah, like a crater looking thing. Like it looked like it was just like a courtyard almost, like behind this big like office area building, and I'm like,
Can you see that, guys?
Let me see. Yes, I can. Let me pull it up.
So
there you go.
Starting from if you're looking at your screen far left, that's Weston.
Mm-hmm.
The guy at the thumbs up there
looks
Blake.
Like
Opie is Blake, and there's Zach, of course, and there's Zane, who does not. He's got
He looks high.
Any light, his eyes are real sensitive to light, and so the blue eye, and so that's like remember that the suspension bridge that goes over the river?
Dude, it was so slippery too. It was awesome, but man, it was slippery.
Well, when you were in there, you felt like you were in a cavern.
Yeah, it
was cool.
It was very massive. It felt like the new Caves update in Minecraft, only in real life.
It is the Caves update.
Oh yeah, that's a good picture of it. And they have minimal lighting too.
There's a running river underneath that thing. So like if you fall, you're gone.
Yeah, you're gone. Like it was moving. It was moving, dude. It was so fast.
And for those who can't see that are listening on Spotify or something, I'll describe it. You're basically looking at a small suspension bridge going off into a black void suspended over a huge cavern with a running river below it. It's very neat.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so cool.
As I recall, Zach, you're slightly afraid of heights. You were like real nervous at first.
At first I was very nervous because I'm like, it looks sturdy, but then when you're on it, it like bounces up and down because it's suspended.
Well, and it's single file, and it's long. It's like the longest underground suspension bridge.
See, I wouldn't be as scared if the flooring. I wouldn't be as scared if the flooring wasn't.
Did I quit sharing my screen?
Yeah, you can do that.
Wait, did I quit?
So. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But like, it was like it wasn't as scary as I thought it was, but it because I'm like, oh, okay, so it's very small. It's like very single file, like you said, but it's but when you walk on it, it looks like it has grip on it. Because it's all metal and it has like that weird shape to it, like it would grab your foot pretty well so you won't fall. But then when you actually step on it, you almost slip and fall because it's so slippery with all the water. Because it was really, really, really wet down there because of the rain that just happened. And it was really big and really cool. And then at the very end, there's like that big, huge cavern as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the way they ran this cave was like the complete polar opposite of the other. Where the other people like finally curated it like it was some botanical garden or whatnot. These people are like, yeah, it's a cave. You go down there. It's dark. Don't wear your mask because you'll probably pass out from carbon dioxide.
Yep,
that's great.
Because
they're like,
that's awesome. Not worrying at all.
Yeah. Well, there even at like the last bit too, Zane. At the last bit, there is like that one big. It looked like it was like a dome essentially in the bottom underneath the town, but it was like, it's pretty dangerous down here. Sometimes like the ceiling breaks off, and it's like,
excuse me, what?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what? And it was, but it was like so cool to be down there because it was like you just didn't care in the moment too.
So that one was Horse.
Okay, then.
Okay, so that one was Horse Cave, Kentucky.
Horse
and
Cave,
it's underneath town. So if anybody hears this and they want to go see a really, really cool cave, here is free advertisement for Horse Cave. It is in what's the name of the town? It's in Hart County, Kentucky.
There you go.
And it's just cool. And the people who run it,
they're so down to earth.
Thumbs up to them. They were freaking awesome.
Yeah,
polar opposite of the other people. So in this one, they were like, "Yeah, you can just come on down. You bring your dog." At one point, we were on the trip.
Yeah, there was a dog running around everywhere, and we were like, "Hopefully, that dog does not slip and fall into the river and die."
It's like if you look to your right there's a pile of dog dookie. A dog left on the previous trip. Right, take picture, folks.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Like,
that's pretty much what it was, dude.
Walking up the path, food right there.
Yeah, actually did do that. That's one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. Click, 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 click.
No, and the guy too, because it's a freaking cave with a river in it. They have like a dam at the back. Sometimes it floods, and we asked like, so at what point do you like shut down cave tours and stuff? Like when the water gets down, they're like, once it starts getting up to around your knees, we usually call it off.
Right.
Excuse me. I don't think that would be very fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this same cave, actually, they do even like deeper tour, like full on spelunking, where you get like cave diving gear.
Yes, I forgot about that part.
And
yeah.
The guy from Dirty Jobs did an episode where they like took him down there, and they were like squeezing through like real narrow stuff.
Like parts that you can get trapped in and never get out.
Yeah. If you want the real cave diving experience and like actually go spelunking, that's your cave. Place. That one was cool.
Right.
Yep. It was the history behind that cave.
That's the cave you go in if you want to die.
Yeah, and they even have like that's like even like they even had like some of the old equipment from the first people who just like discovered it too at like the entrance down there.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of. So they used the underground river to create electricity because it was always moving.
Right.
And so that was one of the first counties, I think, in Kentucky that actually had like lighting in the streets. Because it was like similar to like hydroelectric. It was hydroelectric.
Let's talk about the guy who owned this cave, because that dude.
I don't know anything about that. I don't remember anything about him.
Do you remember that guy's name, Dad?
No, he was a doctor. I've got a picture of his house.
Oh yeah, that guy.
At all. Yeah, I just have a picture of his house.
Hey, he's long dead. He doesn't care. His house is a museum.
Yeah, his house is like a museum.
He instigated the cave wars, where they would actually go in with like sledgehammers to other caves and like break up the stalagmites, stalactites. You know those curtain things that look like somebody's diseased lungs that hang down in the caves. You know, they would smash that stuff and say, oh, there's nothing good in that cave. It's all broken up. You know, come over to our cave. You know, it's pristine and it's
yeah.
And so they he did that on purpose. He like funded it on purpose in order to try and get people to come to his cave.
He was your stereotypical Old West corrupt businessman who hires thugs to go around and take out his competition.
Pretty much. It was nice. Yep. It was spot on. Too,
one of the guys in the town like just had a huge grudge against this guy. Did not like him, so he bought the middle portion of the guy's cave, which infuriated him because he would not allow him to like move through it to get to the back section, which he also owned. So he basically just put a gigantic door in the guy's cave. He's like, you can't go through it to get to the rest of your cave. So I think they got into like a fist fight in a bar at one point, and the cops had to like separate them.
This is funny.
So it's very
the nefarious doctor right there.
Yeah, very very interesting history behind the cave.
Cool.
Everything's fine.
Hold on, let me find a picture of our rig here.
But yeah, that was the cave, and also they had a diner there that we went to. Yeah, to have authentic Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Authentic Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yes.
We did not go to a KFC.
Nope. It was like all homemade. Food.
So it's homemade KFC.
Yes, homemade KFC.
We found a restaurant run by some local girls that like made some dang good Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It was awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna take this one down. Hold on. So you have an idea of what we went in.
Yep.
Well, if you're on Spotify, you can't see this, but
that's okay.
So it's about a 30-foot long travel trailer. And it's got a little bit more room in the front than that narrow hallway. But someone has to sleep in the hallway. Someone has to sleep in like the dining living room area because it's not that big. And then someone, of course, sleeps on a couch. Someone sleeps where the table drops down, and then you have a queen bed in the back, which is where my wife and I were. That way, we could close the curtains and actually have some privacy.
Right.
But
instead of just four guys all sleeping on each other, elbows, faces.
Pretty much.
Feet up your nose.
Okay, all right. I'll stop sharing my screen and we can get back to the business. But anyway.
All right. Cool. But yeah, it was awesome. But then like we said, we went to that diner with the authentic fried chicken, and it was like a big piece too. Good food. And they like
no mask either.
Yeah. And it was very cool. And then the Ark. We finally went to the Ark. And then as we were approaching
about the Ark.
Yes.
And we haven't talked about it.
I know, right? Yeah. But I remember when we were first going to the Ark, I have footage of Weston going. We were going in the parking lot, and Weston was just going, yelling, "Where's Jonathan Park?" Is yelling where Jonathan Park is. And then
why?
And then he's like, okay. And then hold on, and then after that, and then you just hear Wade absolutely defeated in the background in the car, just going, "Why do you keep yelling about Jonathan Park?" It's so funny. It's so perfect.
For those who don't know, Jonathan Park is a fictional character that was like made to like tell stories about creation and just a biblical perspective of like science in the world and whatnot. And
I did not know that.
He's like owned by the same people that like built the Ark and whatnot. So Weston, for years,
he's a fictional character. It took...
Yeah, not a real guy, but for years we were tortured. Although the stories and the science and like the things you learn from Jonathan Park are really cool and interesting. Some of the stories that they wrote don't make much sense. And Weston was driven crazy as a little kid, going, "Why did they use their jackets as rope? What? Who thought that was a good idea? This stupid Jonathan Park." So, anyways, his whole thing, he kept repeating throughout the entire trip, so he was going to give Jonathan Park a piece of his mind for being so dumb with stuff like that. And he's like, "I'm going to give this guy a piece of my mind. Where is he?" So we get to the Ark, and he's like screaming about how he wants to find Jonathan Park, and everyone's just like, "What?"
It's a fictional character, man.
I know. It's funny too. When we actually got to the gift shop,
dude, chill out.
Well, it was so funny. It was like a whole bit, the whole trip too.
When we got to the gift shop where they actually had like a whole wall dedicated to like Jonathan Park stuff, Weston walked right by and missed it. And then he's like, "I didn't even see Jonathan Park." I was like, "How did you not see him?" There was a whole wall of him.
You're just blind.
So he never did find Jonathan Park.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But basically, the Ark, it's a big one. It's a big boat. It was like, when we first got there, we knew it was like, yeah, it's pretty big. It's a big boat. But when we actually got there, we're like, oh, yeah, it is pretty big.
Yeah.
Now, was the size of it accurate, or wasn't it like supposed to be a little bigger?
No, it was built. Okay, so when you read the Bible and talks about the cubit, you got to understand. You have the Hebrew cubit, which was instituted under Solomon when he built the temple. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Egyptian cubit, which was a little bit larger. What in the world is going on with Tristan? He's just back there laughing. So you have the Egyptian cubit, which was actually a little bit. I want to think it was like a couple inches longer. Anyway,
20.4 inches.
Yeah. So in the past, like people have talked about the Ark being, it's this size. Well, they always made it a little bit smaller than what it really was because they were using the Hebrew cubit when Moses, who was Egyptian educated, would have used and Hebrew cubit didn't even exist back then. So he would have given the measurements that as he understood it according to the Egyptian cubit. So it was a big boat. I mean, it was really large.
I have the stats actually up here on my computer. So they ended up making it 510 feet long and over 50 feet tall.
Yeah, there you go.
Which on paper doesn't seem as big, but when you're standing right in front of it, I mean, you can kind of see in Zach's background just how tiny the people are below that thing. It is huge.
It is massive. It was very big. And then, like, when you first... Also, Blake, he made the joke about the ramp.
Oh yeah, he's like, what's with the ramp?
Yeah, why don't the people take the ramp? And then I made it. It was either me or Zane or someone. We made a joke about how the ramp is for all the people in wheelchairs.
It's wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, but all the normal people but at like the bottom, there's like an entranceway for people to go in. There's like a normal entranceway at the bottom, but then like the wheelchair people have to go up this massive ramp. And then,
oh my gosh,
it was so funny. And then Blake said, "Get walking." And then we're like, "Wait, they're in a wheelchair though." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Get rolling."
Wow. Not Very good jokes.
No. It was funny. It was all in good taste because he was hilarious.
Yeah, for a guy who actually has been in a wheelchair before because of injury, I would have taken one look at that ramp and went, no. That trying to roll yourself up that thing, oh my gosh, that would have been horrible.
But I think
it steep?
Yes, it's pretty steep. But I think that's actually like the normal entrance was the ramp, but it was closed for whatever reason that day. So there was like an entrance at like the bottom.
Well, it's because it was cold out, man. It was.
Yeah. So people. Oh yeah, that's right. It was pretty cold.
Did it do like a dusting one night of snow?
I think
like
so.
The rain turned to
I think that was nice. I think that was like right before we left, though.
I do recall seeing some frost at one point.
Yeah, but basically, when you first go in there, there's like, it's like all wood, like all of it. It's like they really made it like really cool looking. It's more of like a building on the inside. It's not like an ark. It's not like traditional. I guess the bottom floor is.
It's so big when you're inside of it, you don't really feel like you're in a boat.
Because there's like so multiple layers to it. Yeah. And then like the base layer is like all the like it has like a lot of like reptiles and like smaller dinosaurs, and different creatures like that. And then the next floor has like bigger dinosaurs and creatures like that. And then there's like also like a chart on the side of the wall that just shows all like the different like 7 of each kind of animal, and it would show how 7 of each kind doesn't mean every animal on the face of the planet, but it means like 7 of each kind, like the kind of animal of so like families.
One type of horse, one type of cow, one type of pig. Not every single
type of
like
pig.
Variation or of like gazelle or whatnot. It was just like one type of a creature.
Yeah,
and they actually had 2 of most, and then all clean animals they had 7 of them.
Right.
And they go into how with the dinosaurs and whatnot on the Ark. Well, most dinosaurs aren't that big. Most dinosaurs are
pretty small.
About they're regular, like large dog, regular sized creature.
Yeah,
and they didn't.
That's
have
why they're
to take
tough to find and dig up.
Well, and they didn't have to take fully grown, mature dinosaurs. They probably took a lot of more smaller juvenile or infant dinosaurs with them.
Right, like if you
taking the babies.
Yeah, all the babies and stuff, right? So.
Well, think about it. What's going to have a better chance of being able to adapt to a new world? An aged dinosaur that's already like lived its life and suddenly is exposed to a brand new environment.
Dinosaur,
yeah. Or a younger, more developing one that has a better chance of adapting. To a
that was like a big thing too. The Ark really shows how one of the biggest things I learned there was the difference between evolution and adaptation, and how evolution is means that it's changing from it's basically like a human turning into a chicken, or the other way around.
No,
it's like
one kind to one kind, so it'd be a jump. So it'd be like a rat becomes a whale. You know?
It's not like a frog, because a frog is still a frog at the end of the day. You don't see a frog turn into a horse.
No.
What? You haven't seen that?
No, can't say that I have.
But whereas adaptation is like it's still the same species and kind. It's just adapting to its environment. So
the difference. Go ahead.
But yeah. Oh no, you're right. You can keep talking, Wade.
Yeah, the difference would be like look at tigers, right? You have a Bengal tiger, really large, with the same stripes and everything, and it has it's adapted for the subtropics of India. Where then you go up to like the Siberian tiger, or that tiger that's clear over on the peninsula. I'm trying to think where it has more of a flat face, and it's still a tiger. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger, but it's still a tiger. And same with all the different breeds of dogs. Still a dog.
Right. Yep.
Chihuahua and a wolf are still a type of dog, even if they look different.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't think Chihuahuas should be classified as dogs. Those are demons.
Yeah, because a Chihuahua thinks it's a wolf, but it's actually.
Yep.
I'm not gonna argue with you there. When we lived in Missouri, we had a neighbor with about 10 Chihuahuas, and they were very annoying.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, very cool.
And it's very informative and eye-opening. A lot of the stuff like they go into too, like how. I think this was more at the Creation Museum later, where they talked about this rather than the Ark, but like how evolution and creation and Christianity. Yeah, it just shows like how the differences between them and like why one doesn't work with the other. You have to pick one or the other, and what the problems is with evolution versus creation and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
crazy how many people believe that both are the same.
Yeah. Which
or can be the same.
Or they work together, like the whole, God might have used thousands of years and just called it 10 days. It's a sort of theory thing.
Yeah.
But one of the major things they point out is that evolution is death before life. Things had to continually die and evolve to get to where they were today, whereas creation was life before death.
Right.
If there was thousands
just completely
of years
opposite.
of death, if there's thousands and millions of years of death and change before Adam took the apple from Eve and they both ate, then what was the point of, or the fruit? Yeah, I guess it wasn't an apple, just a fruit. But what was the point of Christ coming and dying for our sins if death was already here?
Yeah,
it undermines our entire faith. So it's
it makes no sense.
Evolution.
Yeah,
evolution and Christianity cannot mesh.
Yeah, there's no way.
And they even talk about the geological layers with the flood.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
So if you look at, if it takes millions and billions of years to lay down sediment layers, what usually happens with wind and rain on soil? It's erosion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So in a slow process, you have erosion. But if you have a worldwide flood, if you have rivers and lakes and things like that, you get sediment that builds up at the bottom of these things, and the weight of the water above it compacts it and compresses it. And so if you look at the Grand Canyon, or if you go to like Dinosaur National Monument, or you just go to the different layers of strata around the world, you see that this sediment has been laid down.
It's relatively flat and clear cut lines between layers. It doesn't have the erosion patterns.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have things which science calls outliers, and then they throw it out because it doesn't fit with their theory. If it didn't fit with the theory, then you junk it. But you can't, because it actually exists. And you have petrified wood that will start, it's vertical, and it goes through millions of years of what they think is layers. What they call millions of years of layers.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you have this one piece of wood that is petrified that goes through all these layers of rock vertically. That if their theory exists, that would not exist. It would not be there. That one thing completely blows the whole theory of their evolution in an old Earth.
Yep. It's just cool.
They have many, many, many more examples of stuff like that, like with the planes in the Arctic, how they were buried, and they should have been relatively close to the surface according to their timeline and how long it takes for those ice glaciers to build. They say like each one is like so many thousands of years, and the plains were much, much deeper than they should have been according to their theory, suggesting that the ice builds up a heck of a lot faster than what they claim and whatnot. It's very fascinating, all of it.
Yep.
That's really neat that they kind of explain that stuff.
Oh yeah. They go in depth. Like there is so much to it. It's awesome. And then they also have like I guess this is more Creation Museum as well, but it talks about how evolution is more of a faith-based is faith-based like Christianity, and how how if you go up to ask an evolutionist to show proof, they can't, because you have to look back millions and millions of years, and they weren't alive millions and millions of years ago.
Yeah.
And so we have the Bible, they have science, they claim, But in reality, it's just they have a book too by Darwin. So,
and a lot of their so-called evidence is just circular reasoning of like, well, how do they date the rocks? Well, they date it by the fossils. Well, how do they date the fossils? Well, they date it by the rock layers.
mm-hmm.
How do they figure this? Huh?
I was going to say, I don't know if people understand that that's how stuff is supposed to work.
Yeah.
No.
It's like
they talk about radiocarbon dating. Well, they date how much is left,
Yeah.
but you don't know how much was there to begin with.
exactly. Like
So
they
if you
showed
don't
a
have your
like they
Okay,
yeah.
guys. Here's the other thing is too. Okay, they have their book, The Origin of the Species, right?
Mhm.
Written by Charles Darwin. Okay, so Origin of the Species is I'm not wanting to go into a lot of political stuff about this, but it is an entirely racist, white supremacist, really doctrine.
It actually is, yeah.
Bad stuff.
And
And
he
they're
even
basing science off of this. So here's the full title of The Origin of the Species. On the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Okay, so in Charles Darwin's mind, who's the favored race? Yeah, the dude is a freaking racist.
Yeah.
And we're basing science off of him.
Yep. It's crazy. And then also Darwin. It talks about how Darwin never said he was an atheist either.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Darwin never actually said that he was like an atheist.
See, he might be just not an atheist, though. I mean, he could be like a different religion that somehow believes. He made his own religion.
Basically, that's what it's
atheism.
Like, right?
His religion is atheism.
Yep, exactly, dude. But
it was Confucism.
Confusion.
But yeah, it's crazy how much factual stuff doesn't back up evolution compared to the Bible, and it's awesome. It's so cool to see just to see the reality of it and the truth. It's so cool.
It was really
other books that point back to the Bible too.
Yeah, as a person who hasn't been to these places, what questions would you have?
First off, like, do they have like representations of the animals? Like, do they have like stalls and stuff?
Yeah. So at like
would be stored.
Yeah, so like at the bottom layer, when you first walk in, there's like a whole bunch of like feeding troughs and like water troughs and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, crates and storage and
and like they came up with like the idea of what they think it would have been like, and basically you have like these cages of dinosaurs or animals or what have you, but then there's like a bridge up top, and there would be and they were like carrying jugs up top of water to feed the animals instead of like putting it like going inside a cage with a actual animal, like a dinosaur or something predatory. They would
like. You don't want to feed a dinosaur like that.
Yeah, like like they would like have like they would like have these areas that they would walk on and pour water in or something like that. Possibly, it was really cool. They have like a lot of
that's neat.
Because you have like tourists and like paths and stuff for people to walk. That not all the ground space is like dedicated to that, but they have a diagram I think on the middle floor,
something like that. Yeah,
that's exactly where it's at. But they have like a big, not a diagram, like a miniature that they built where they've like completely laid out the entire floor plan of the Ark with like all the different cages and whatnot and how
and like how like what animals would be on what floors, etc.
They have like a chart of like all the different animals that would be required to like be on the Ark and whatnot.
Yeah,
so you can see all that information.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then they also but then the living quarters were like at the top floor, right? Something like that.
Yeah, they were on the very top.
Yeah, all the living quarters were on like the top floor, which makes sense. And it was really cool because they had like a section for like all the scrolls and all like, and it showed like how they probably kept a record of every animal.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And every like
I
statistics and stuff.
Paper didn't die. Like, imagine seeing that.
Yeah. And
it was very neat walking in. You had like different pictures of like dinosaurs and other creatures, just regular animals and whatnot. And they had like a map too of what they think the old Earth looked like on the wall and whatnot.
Yeah.
It looked like an actual, like if you were gonna live on this place, it looked very comfortable and cool.
It did, yeah. Then they had like the
That's really neat.
And then they had they had like a kitchen. They had like they had like a nice kitchen. They had like a greenery area where they would like grow they would grow grass. No, they would I think
like herbs and stuff.
Yeah, herbs and stuff.
almost kind of like hydroponics.
Yeah. And it was like it was so cool.
After this is over with, I have a bunch of pictures on my phone which you can look through.
Okay,
I might try to screen share a few bit.
All right, sweet. But yeah, it was such a cool area. And then also the what else? There was like a workbench area too to make like tools and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then
cool.
Yeah, and then there's like the living quarters of like where everyone slept and stuff like that.
Have your loved couch in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like it was yeah, but it was like really cool. They had like all these different sections that you could walk through. And they also had like all these creepy humanoid models that would like act and stuff.
People that would be like,
yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you about the Ark, kitty. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, but then there was also but then there was like the massive door. But there's like a massive door that was huge of like how that represented like how big the Ark door probably was.
And it's the exact dimensions.
It was the exact dimensions, yeah. And it's
a big old door.
Yeah, it was massive. It was really cool. And then they put like a cross on it as well, like with lighting and whatnot.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it was very cool.
That would be neat.
And then what else did they have?
They had a gift shop in the corner.
Oh yeah, they did have gift shops in the corners.
Oh, that was there originally, right?
No, we made a joke. We're like, wow, Noah's been rocking. He's like living the style. He's got his own little snack bar and gift shop over here.
He's living like luxury, bro.
Of course. What else would they have in the? What was that?
I didn't know they had vending machines back then.
What they have?
We don't know what they had back then. That's just it, because everything was wiped out.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if you think about it, if the flood hit modern, you know, most of the stuff we build out of is really perishable, especially like our houses we live in.
Yeah,
you know, it's just sheetrock and wood, right?
Yep.
So what really would be left? You know, toilet bowls.
Toilet
lots
bowls.
And lots of toilet bowls. You just see this.
Bowls would be everywhere.
That'd be so funny. It's just like a neighborhood, but it's just rubble, and the only thing that's left standing are toilets.
And so people would be like, so what we think was they used to cook in these. So you would put the fuel in the backside, and it would vent back underneath, and it would come up, and they'd probably have a grill over the top. But
yeah, exactly. So what you would do is you would put the lotion in this spot, and then
eat it.
Yep. Yes. They used it to ferment their alcohol, and
yeah.
It was basically an old still.
Who knows what they would say? I mean, we know what the grandparents used for, you know, to ferment, you know,
sunscreen.
Yeah, sorry. My mind went blank there.
No, you're good. Moment. You're good. You're fine. But
people
say a senile moment.
Yeah. But what floor was it? I think it was like the second floor, right? Where they had like they basically gave like the history of like the world essentially through there on the Ark.
Interesting.
And you could like it was like the beginning.
Like
and this wasn't in the Creation Museum. Yeah, this wasn't in the Creation Museum. It was like it showed like what time could have been like before the flood happened and how sinful the world was and stuff, right? And it was like
that video.
Not just the video, but it was like they had like little sets of like
you're talking about like the miniatures where they had like all the like panoramic
what do
you call those things? I don't know, the portrait things on the walls and stuff.
Yeah, but also like the little glass cases to show like
those are the top floor actually.
Miniatures and stuff. That could have been the top floor. But it basically showed
how debased society could have gotten to finally
like
God go, okay, this place is it's beyond saving. We need to get rid of it.
Yeah, like it showed like people killing like a triceratops and stuff, and like for not to eat it, but for game, just to have like the horn of it or whatever.
The horns, yeah.
And then it also showed how there was like a big temple possibly that people would worship to like this whatever god it was. In the picture it showed like in the picture it showed like a cobra or something, but
I like how when we got to the Tower of Babel scene and Weston saw like all the little brick ovens, he's like, wow, look at all those pizza ovens.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like brick ovens off to the side of like this little miniature set. It was like, man, they're eating good. I want some of that pizza.
Oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if they actually had pizza?
Like to get some
back then. I wonder what type of food.
Ancient pizza, thank you.
Ancient pizza, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what type of food they had before the flood.
I don't know. Maybe instead of buffalo steaks, they had triceratops steak.
Yeah, could be.
Yes.
But yeah, it goes really in depth and in detail about a lot of different things that you wouldn't think about, and it's like that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then I don't know if you remember this, Zane, but they had that one like TV screen, and it was the sink or swim.
Oh yeah. When they compared all the different flood legends from around the world, like the different boat designs that they have in them, see which one would be actually work. Yeah, and it's like every time they tested one, everyone just dies.
Yeah, so basically it was this TV screen, and it showed like this mini game, and it was like, "Welcome to another episode of Sink or Swim," and it would show, like all the, it would show like a Gilgamesh and like his box that would ride into the ocean, and how it would not survive whatsoever because it's a box and it has no like buoyant, it has like no shape to it to ride the waves.
In a cardboard box.
Yeah, so like to ride the waves, it would just get absolutely demolished.
Yeah, but and that was despite the fact that their boat designs were off. It was cool too to see that like it's not just the Bible. There are legends of a worldwide flood all over the world that have been passed down through generations.
Yeah, like even like in the Vikings, like they had their own ark essentially, and it was just a big Viking boat. It was like, imagine like a canoe but big. Mm-hmm. And then
a canoe but big.
Yeah, it's like, how do you expect them to live in that, bro? And then there's the one from India was like a top. Like it literally looked like a top that you would spin. And it looks ridiculous.
Why is Weston acting like a weirdo in the background?
I don't know.
He's falling over.
But anyways, it was so funny. And then obviously when it came to the Ark, everyone survived because it makes the most sense because it was the most sturdy.
It was actually a boat.
Yeah. There you go.
But, that'd be fun. I mean, gotta sell shirts. I survived the flood of 1650. You'd only sell 8 shirts though. That'd be the end of it.
That's what I was about to say.
Well, but then
it was a very prized, short-lived collector's line that became valuable after.
Yes, but the Ark was such a fun time. It was really cool. You couldn't go to like the very top, like the tippy top area, but like you could go to. I think up there was like a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, like where all the janitors live. But
janitors live up there.
Yeah, the janitors live up there.
Home.
They can't go home. Once you live at the Ark, you don't leave the Ark.
Yeah, there's a area for like a conference center up there to where you could meet.
Oh, that's cool. But basically, it's like there's 3 floors, right?
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
You can walk around on, yeah.
Okay. And then they had like these big ramps that you could climb up and whatnot, and it was really cool. It was nice. They had like all of it, like a lot of it, most of it was wood on the interior even. because they had like these giant, massive pillars that would down through like the middle. And there's some really cool camera shots that I took of that. Some cool pictures. But
it'd be cool to get like a panoramic picture of all that.
Oh yeah, it would be so cool. It was such
I should have done that. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it was such a cool aesthetic. I did a panoramic view at the Kentucky Fried Chicken place that we went to. And,
of course you did.
Yeah, I took a panoramic view of it, but then Wade's face got cut off in the center of it because he was moving. So it was like, no joke, it was like dead center, like half of him disappeared. And it was great. It was horrifying, but it was funny. But anyways, yeah, that was Ark. It was really cool. Anything else, Zane, you can think of? I think that was pretty much it, right? Besides the gift shop. Gift shop was cool.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk a lot longer.
Yeah. But then I think that's about it. I mean, we went to the Creation Museum after that.
I could talk a lot more about like the Creation Museum and just other stuff that was going on.
Also the zoo.
Yeah, they had a zoo in the back there.
Oh, yeah, they did have a zoo. That was cool.
It was all right.
See them llamas.
Yeah. Yep. They had kangaroos too, didn't they? And you could
they had that.
Yeah, it was really
some
cool.
guy who jumped over the fence to go pat one like a moron.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is a picture of Zane and Blake, and you kind of get, I think that's on the third. You get an idea of how big the pillars are and the length.
Yes.
Can you see that, Tristan?
Since you're the one recording the Discord.
Wait, that's chickens.
Never mind. That's our chickens.
Chickens.
And then chickens. Wow.
Now look at that guy standing next to the pillar.
Yeah, that is
thicker
crazy.
than he is.
Yeah, it's huge. This is on the top floor too. There's like natural light that comes in too, so it gives us a really cool aesthetic.
It really does.
Oh yeah, remember how cool the music was in there as well.
Yeah,
we were talking about.
Oh yeah, the music.
Sorry, where was this?
This is Tina standing in front of one of the living quarters.
Oh, okay.
Like if they'd have like their own little area.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you put out all the lights in this place, the center shaft would actually give you enough light all the way to the bottom.
Yep. It was bright. It was a lot brighter than you would think. It was really cool. Well, yeah.
So, I think this was all built. It was actually, was it Amish? Amish woodworkers figured out how to build this thing.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, from this much wood. And it talks about how they're one of the few people that actually had the skill nowadays to work with something that large, that much wood.
Right. It's so cool. And then, what else? I guess that's pretty much it. It was just a really cool place. If you get a chance to go there, go.
Yeah.
Eventually go there because it's so cool. It's so worth it.
Do we want to talk about the little Cosmosphere thing they had set up in the Creation Museum real quick?
Sure.
Just to end it, because that's kind of a funny story.
Well, we can talk about a little bit about the Creation Museum. Basically, the Creation Museum, all it really talked about was how evolution not real. It doesn't make sense. Whereas creationism or Christianity, it's good and it makes sense.
But they go so in depth into all of that and like creation of the world. But to just kind of end it off with a funny note. So at the end of our day at the Creation Museum, we were like on our way out, and there was this door on the side. And me and Blake walked in just out of curiosity. What is this? Not realizing it was like a theater, and we weren't supposed to just walk in. You had to pay for it. So we walk in, realize where we're at. We're like trying to like get out before someone notices. And the guy who like runs it like puts us off in the door when he's like, "Do you have tickets?" We're like, "Oh no, sorry, sir. It's an accident. We didn't mean to come in here." And he's like, "Are you with them?" And we're like, yeah, that's our family." He's like, "Do you want to come in here?" Like, well, I mean, he's like, "Oh no, it's fine. You don't need tickets. I'll let you in." It's the last showing. Like, oh wait, really? Yeah. Okay, sure. We'll come in and watch this. And the guy's like, yeah. Okay, come on. And then there's this random guy who's just kind of standing near us, and he like whips around, points at this guy, and he's like, "Are you with them?" And this dude turns, is like bug eyed. He's like, no.
Like he has like it was, dude. It was amazing. So he was like so energetic.
About his job.
Yeah, he loved his job, man. He was so energetic, but it was like amazing. Like he went full pointing at like us to 180 degrees all in one swoop, and pointed at this other guy and was like, "Are you with them too?" And he's just like Zane said, bug-eyed, just no. He's like he didn't even say anything. He just shook his head no. Yeah, he was like, yeah.
Some people's kids.
It's so funny, man.
Oh man!
But then after that, the actual show was really cool, though.
Oh yeah, it was very, very neat.
Basically, it showed like how small we are and how we're technically at like the center of the universe so far, or how all the constellations, kind of like point towards us, because on Earth we made all the people made the constellations, right? And so and connected all of them. So like. And it kind of makes like all this arrows kind of like pointing towards our planet. If you like,
it just shows like how everything in the universe kind of works together, perfectly, and how if one thing gets knocked off course,
it makes everything breaks.
It shows just how meticulous God is and perfection.
Yeah, and how perfect it is, and how He has set everything up in motion. So
now the Bible talks about how he stretches out the stars and whatnot, and how the universe is like continuously expanding into infinity. Yeah,
and it's really cool because it just gets you zoom so far out, and then you're like it gets like really fuzzy into the unknown, and it's like really cool.
Yeah.
So
talk about the dragons.
The dragons. That was like at the very end as we were leaving before the place closed.
Dragons.
Well, okay, so evolution claims that man and dinosaurs have never met because dinosaurs died out millions and millions of years before man ever met them, right? But we have historical records of like civilizations and people encountering things they call dragons, which sound a lot like dinosaurs. And dinosaurs wasn't invented until the 20th century. That word and the scientific names and all that and whatnot. The original name for them were dragons. The Romans have records of battling venomous flying serpents that were causing problems for them. They were like nesting in one of their defensive walls around a city, and they had to go and exterminate them.
Yeah, and Romans keep really, really good records, by the way. Like they're
impeccable records.
Yes.
And I mean, these are like official military records. They didn't just forge these up. These were the real deal. And people are just kind of like, well, we don't know what they're talking. It was probably this bird that they fought. Well, who's ever heard of a venomous?
Very scary birds, man.
Yeah, a venomous lizard-like bird, unless it's a dinosaur. So it was very neat too to just see all that and be like all these different records of like people encountering dragons, which were dinosaurs. Like people and dinosaurs, they met, and most likely, I mean, what does man do when he meets something bigger and scarier than it? Or like
we kill it.
A threat? Yeah, you wipe it out.
Violence is the only option.
I mean, if you live next door to a flying venomous serpent that's like attacking and stealing your sheep and foods and whatnot, you're gonna take your shotgun outside and blow the crap out of it, and then talk about how you saved the day.
Yep, exactly.
So it all makes sense, and it was just very neat to see like how all this lines up.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. It's so cool. But yeah, there's like one about like Vikings too.
That's interesting.
There's like another Viking one about how the Norse people would fight dragons and stuff. There's like some record. I forgot exactly. It's kind of fuzzy in my memory. But they had like basically throughout the whole, basically around the entrance areas, there's like this whole section just talking about history of dragons, and they would have like pieces set up and just like a paragraph of like wording of just like facts.
Oh, you remember the video of the Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Oh yeah, and the creator.
No.
Freaking like talk about how everyone's lizards from Mars, and he's like begging that girl to get a public or an education. It's like, please get a college education. He's like, don't end up like those freaks.
Yep. Basically, so they went around the Ark, and the guy who built the Ark, and Bill Nye, they went around the Ark just basically It was him being actually like really nice to him, and him just trying to explain and be like, hey, this is why we built the Ark. This is also why it's true. And he was just backing it up with facts and stuff. And then Bill Nye was just like, Bill Nye was just rude the entire time. It was just like a whole jerk the entire time, just rude to everyone. And then he like looked at like a little girl and pointed his finger at her in like the video and was like, you're an animal. You're an animal. And it was just like so bad. And it was like, and then the little girl like went over to the guy who made the Ark and he's like, I believe in this guy more than you. And then he's like, well, when you grow up and you get an education, you can think for yourself.
Like, please get a college education.
Yeah, he's like, please get a college education.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was hilarious.
Some people's kids, man.
Yeah, but it was good. And then they prayed like with Bill Nye. It was actually like really good and touching actually, because he was like because he was talking about how Jesus still loves you even though if you don't believe in him. And he's like, and Bill Nye was like, well, thank you, I'll take that into consideration or whatever. And then he carried on being a jerk. But it was like this little moment. It was like this
on being a jerk.
Yeah, but it was like this little moment of like you could see him thinking and gears or a spark trying to be lit there, or a seed being planted.
It's like, why are these people, here I am tearing everything down that they believe in, and yet they still care about me.
Yep. Why? Exactly.
Why? I think, I mean, at least that's what it appeared to be.
Yeah, and typically that is how it is.
I really hope he does understand that.
Right.
I really do care about him. We want to see him accept Jesus and go to heaven.
Yep. Yep. We want to see him in the future.
There's ever some people to pray for.
Well, and here's the deal. If you look, if you were to break down these two into just the ideology of eternity, right? If you look at evolution, they say that we make our own meaning. There's no meaning to life. We make our own meaning. All right. But that's kind of a cop-out because everybody's looking at it going, everybody wants to know what the meaning of life. If they don't know Jesus, like, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? Does this all even matter? Well, if you believe in evolution, then there's no reason why you're here. You're purely an accident. No one really cares about you, as far as in an eternal sense. So
it's just like so depressing.
Yeah, it's like there's no point for you being here. You have no hope, and when you die, you're gone. That's it.
Yeah. And it's like the only thing you can make is your legacy, which probably won't matter anyway, like 10 generations down the line.
Yeah.
No. I was at a college.
It's a terrifying thought.
Huh?
To not be a Christian.
It's
a terrifying thought.
Yep.
So I was at a college where these people, they paid tons of money to get their name put on a plaque on a building, right? And then like 7, 8, 9 years down the line, someone else comes along and they want their name on a plaque on the building for their legacy. And so they pay even more money. What do? They pull the bronze plate off of the other people. These people thought that when I'm gone, my name will be on this building and it's going to last for hundreds of years. Guess what? 10 years later,
nope.
It's sitting in a maintenance shop back in the corner collecting dust because they don't know what to do with it. Eventually going to take it to a metal place.
Yep.
No one's going to remember them. Nope. Where you have Christianity, you have a God who created you for a specific purpose. He loves you. He wants you to be with him. And when this body gives out and dies, you will go be with him forever. And it won't be boring. You're not going to be just playing harps and clouds. It's going to be a place more beautiful. And we're going to have work. Won't be work. It'll be exactly what we're made for. It'll be exactly what our interests are.
Yep.
It will be literally the utopia that everyone wants, but they can't have on earth. And it's only possible with God.
Yep.
That's the hope Christianity gives. And that's the hope that evolution dashes and destroys.
Yep.
It's
so cool.
People.
But yeah, I think that's a great way to end it, by the way. That was awesome.
I agree. Shall we say a prayer and then?
Yes. Let's do a prayer, a closing prayer. All right. Dear Holy Father, just want to come to you and say thank you so much for this life that we've been given, and just all the literal things in the world that just show how real you are. And just we pray that others see your light and your love, and that they come to know you. And thank you so much for this podcast and blessing us with this Deus Vult group, that we can come together and talk about things as friends and as brothers in Christ, and just to show others our love for you. We just love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, sweet. All right, well, Deus Vult. Deus Vult. All right, well, I'm going to look at the camera and do a closing. So if you all enjoyed the podcast, thank you. Stick around. We will love to have you. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify if you are listening on Spotify. And for Apple Music, I don't know what you do on Apple, so just do what you do to help us out. Thank you so much for watching the Deus Vult podcast. We will see you guys on the next episode, which will be the 3rd episode. And I'll see you guys next time.